Hello and welcome. This is a very brief introduction to the presentation to offer a context. In 2017, Professor Bronwyn Carlson, head of the Department of Indigenous Studies within the Faculty of Arts at Macquarie University, pitched an idea for a learning and teaching strategic grant that was titled Local Knowledges Engaging Dharug Communities in Curriculum Development. The aim was to develop and strengthen engagement with local Aboriginal communities, to develop resources that integrate local Aboriginal historical, social and cultural perspectives into the teaching and learning program, to strengthen the Indigenous Studies programs with the development of a dedicated 100-level subject that incorporates local Aboriginal knowledge and perspectives, and also to enhance student learning experiences and engagement with local Aboriginal perspectives. Now, as you might have guessed, Bronwyn's proposal was successful. Around this time, Fidel and I were recommended to help with the development of resources and building something different, engaging and unique within iLearn, that is, Macquarie University's Moodle-based learning management system. Also around this time, Bronwyn met Dr. Joanne Ray and was told her PhD was on Dharug knowledges and life stories, which would be a great fit for this project. We'll find out more about this in the actual presentation. On reflection, I certainly learned a lot from working closely with Dr. Joanne Ray and the community members. Jo mentions that even though her role was central to developing the project, her perspectives reflect her own voice amongst several across the project, which together bring both diversity and alignments that reflect any collective representation. In fact, all the videos produced for the project are simultaneously the individual and together provide a collective of subject matter experts, that is, the members of the Dharug community. Bronwyn tells me the online unit is very popular with students. The department originally thought the unit would be offered only once a year, but it is now offered within both sessions, as well as being offered externally via Open Universities Australia. It's important to note that the Faculty of Arts sees the design, development and implementation processes associated with the Local Knowledges project as a touchstone expression of what is best about learning and teaching at Macquarie. Now, central to this is the collaborative, embracing, community-centred approaches in creating multiple spaces where Indigenous learnings can be shared, that is, campus, classroom and digital. Also central to this is the innovative, engaging modes of presenting the breadth and depth of Dharug culture. So now, on with the presentation.
Hello, good morning, good evening to everyone, and thank you for joining this Moodlemoot online presentation. Today, I want to introduce Mark, Parry, and Fidel Fernando from the Australian Film and TV and Radio School, and they will explain about a very interesting project. So I'll give the floor to them. Thank you, Mark and Fidel.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, hello, my name is Mark Parry, and I am presenting with Fidel Fernando. The title of our presentation is Unit Development on Dharug Country, Responsive and Respectful Collaborations. Acknowledgement of country. I pay my respects and acknowledge the presences, places and peoples of the Dharug-speaking communities from which this presentation arises. I acknowledge elders, past, present and emerging, and recognise that they always have been and always will be caring for Dharug country. So, hello everyone.
my name is Mark Parry, and I am presenting with Fidel Fernando. That's me on the left. I'm an instructional designer and media producer with Parryville Media, and I also work at the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. Our project that we're showcasing is a Macquarie University project. So I'll take the first half of the slides, and then we'll hear from Fidel halfway through. Thank you.
Okay.
So Dharug is an idea, a concept that's related to presences, places, and practices. And Fidel and I worked in collaboration with a researcher and a Dharug woman and a subject matter expert called Dr. Joanne Ray. So it was around about 2017. And the nature of Jo's research was based around Sydney, Australia, which is where we're from, where Macquarie University is from. And just to give you a very quick history lesson, in 1788, the British began colonising Australia. And so part of Jo's research was researching the local Dharug community with its 29 clans, with a specific reference to contemporary women's perspectives. And so the research was related very much to insights and stories that could then be presented to contemporary audiences and would relate to contemporary situations and conversations. So hopefully that sums up part of the research as to why the research was performed in the first place. The diagram on the right-hand side summarises part of that research. And so, Fidel, could we have the next slide? So one of the key concepts of the research is Goanna Walking. Now, Goanna is a lizard. There's a photograph of the lizard on the screen there. And Goanna's tracks go left to right. It's not straight. And so Goanna walks a journey between worlds. And so in the research and the methodology was walking between the academy and the Aboriginal cultural ways. So Jo's thesis was mapped onto a possum skin as a knowledge map of the research journey. Then I came on board to help Jo develop that research into an e-learning unit. Fidel. So there were lots of presences, places, and people that were woven together. So there were lots of collaborations occurring. So this is a summary of a lot of those collaborations. So presences, people, and places. So at the heart of the project was conversations with community. And so we organised video sessions that were held on Dharug Country. So there were stories on country that were collaborative, respectful, sensitive, and a key word here is responsive. So I didn't just go out and ask a bunch of questions and capture some video. It was a little bit different to that. And so these photos show some of those video sessions with some of the community members. Thank you. So we shot lots and lots of hours and hours and hours of video. So a significant part of the next step was media sorting and wrangling. So how do you organise in a meaningful way high volumes of media? So we had photographs, had videos, audio, other links. And so at the heart of this early stage, and this is a significant part of my role as well with Jo, was the pedagogy, which is the learning and teaching. Before we started to look at the learning management system, which was Moodle. So how do we create some learning? Thank you, Fidel. So Fidel's controlling the slides. this idea of reciprocity, weaving cultural integrity, we took back to community what we produced in iLearn. So we did some proof of concepts, and there's some videos at the top, that just the screenshots. And so we needed to make sure that the process was negotiated. We didn't just go away, get the videos, and then they never heard from us again. It was very much a reciprocal, negotiated process.
Mm-hmm.
So iterative approaches, if you've been working in Moodle for a while, you would understand Moodle's really great at iterative approaches, where we're little by little, small changes and making a little tweak or an amendment. So there was still more collaboration on how we were going to create an online presence in Moodle. So the question that was central to this is how to demonstrate the learning through video, images and audio. And again, this idea of pedagogy or learning and teaching. So Joe and I spent a lot of time selecting suitable clips. Joe significantly was making all of the decisions, but then I had to assist her in documenting the edits and then building Moodle samples and proofs of concept. And again, we because Joe was our subject matter expert, we had to build that into our processes. And again, Goanna Walking was with us the whole way, because there are lots of systemic requirements from the university, from Moodle, from other stakeholders, and we had to balance those with the cultural authenticity and make sure that the integrity of the knowledges was being passed on. It wasn't lost in what we were producing. So we can see some of these screenshots. They're just things like themes. We've organised them into themes, organised them into weeks within Moodle, labelling, file naming conventions, all of that stuff. So there's some of the systemic requirements that come with the territory of e-learning.
Okay, so it's my turn.
Yep.
Thanks, Mark. Just a little background for everyone. Mark, Parry, and Joe Ray were working on this before I got on into the project. So all of the stuff that Mark mentioned earlier, I wasn't part of yet. So what I want to quickly introduce myself first. My name is Fidel, and I'm a learning designer here at Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia. So I'd like to tell you the story of how I got started with this project. My situation at the time was I was looking for a project to test out our newly acquired plugin, H5P. And I'm sure most of you have heard of H5P. And up to this point, we've been using HTML to create fancy stuff on Moodle, so including HTML coding, Bootstrap code, which was easier than just straight HTML, but was still very prone to breaking, and it was much more difficult to maintain in a sustainable way. I'd like to stress the word sustainable. So technologically sustainable, meaning you can hand off you can hand it off to an academic after the project has been completed and be confident that it can manage with the upkeep. So at the time, I was part of the Central Learning Teaching Office within the university, and Mark Parry came in as an unknown external learning designer from outside of the university. And he started working with Dr. Joe Ray to create this first year unit. Now, Dr. Joe Ray was very knowledgeable with her subject, but had little to no experience with Moodle and Moodle iLearn in Macquarie. But I could tell off the bat she was very willing to learn. Initially, what I got from Mark was gigabytes upon gigabytes of data, media files that had thousands of images, hundreds of videos, and audio recordings. It was quite overwhelming at the start. And to my fellow learning designers listening, I'm sure you've felt this overwhelmed before. But as with any project, it had to start with getting things sorted. Files were one thing, but it was the relationship management that I really wanted to get right. I'd like to say the process was straightforward. It wasn't. And there was a lot of back and forth conversations, a lot of coffee, a lot of video calls, a lot of meetings, and of course, more coffee to get started with this. But the focus was really on developing trust and being supportive and respectful to Dr. Ray. I was also very thankful that the content has been largely produced already, which takes the most time and effort. So again, in summary, we had a long way to go. And unfortunately and fortunately, I can't go into much detail as to what happened because of the allocated time we have here, but I will talk about how we used H5P. So how did we use H5P? Because of the complex, I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Because of the complex nature of the multimedia files that we had, okay, here we go, and the content that we had, I wanted to keep everything within the LMS simple. So we have, hours of videos and hundreds of images, but I'd like to keep everything within Moodle simple. So the way we used H5P was to use the course presentation tool specifically, and not as an activity, but as a user interface / menu for the homepage. So as you can see here, I'm going through, sorry, there's a bit of lag for the video. This is the homepage with FP course presentation embedded. As you can see, I'm going through different pages within this embedded activity, and it is embedded using a label. So again, simple with a label. The benefit is I can go to different pages within this presentation without having to leave the main page. So, I can have embedded videos within the same page in Moodle without leaving the home page. I can also have a lot of different information and different clickable buttons here. So if you can see that my cursor is moving different themes, all these themes are clickable. So this presentation has around 30 pages that you can click on. So every time I click on a theme, for instance, it sends me to a summary page. Now, the thing that we wanted to stress here was consistency. Each summary page has a consistent title, has information about what activities are inside, has information about the start and the end dates, and it even has a really nice, relevant image attached to it as well. Now, clicking on the hyperlink down below sends you to so it says continue, sends you to a Moodle book. Come on. I love books. Books are amazing, mainly because of their simplicity. They have a table of contents on the side. You have the ability to add HTML code for, formatting. You also have the ability to add H5P activities here as well. So within my book, within my page, I have an H5P embedded with videos. So it's almost like layer upon layer of simple things in Moodle, which makes it really easy to use. We also have audio files down the bottom, which further enhance the multimedia experience of this unit. And we have, again, a consistent layout across all of the themes because we wanted to stress the consistency of this. We also have a section called required doings. So in every theme, you have an outline of everything a student has to do during that week. And of course, you have your typical printing the page, printing the book, and links on the side of the page if you want to go back to the home page. So again, we emphasize user experience and usability here. And it was all very visual. So to quickly sum up why we went that route is because we wanted a visual menu to showcase the possum skin map, as you see here, which is the highlight of the unit. And we wanted interactivity, consistent headings, and to improve the user experience of the student. So what did we learn? 3 main things for me. Number 1, personal growth. As you can already tell from my accent, I wasn't born in Australia, but it's the country I call home now. Going through this project has developed in me a better understanding of the First Nations of this country, and it has sparked a genuine appreciation, caring, and awareness of the country I live in, and also the concept of country in the Dharug sense. So never take for granted what you can learn from your subject matter expert. The professional growth, really getting better at something through experience and getting more efficient the more you do it. Again, I'd like to stress, creating frameworks and skeletons really quickly, because this is where the aha moments come from, where the intuitive mind of your academic or your subject matter expert comes alive. And I also have learned to appreciate the iterations and always having to be responsive, as Mark said earlier. Also know that your conceptual vision may be different from your subject matter's expert conceptual vision because of different experiences, different technological capabilities, and the like. I'm going to quickly run to the third and my most favorite part of the learning is Dr. Jo Ray's growth. So I'm most proud of the growth of Dr. Jo Ray, especially with her technological capability and confidence within Moodle. Even at the start, she was very apprehensive, but at the end, I was happy to see that she was able to maintain, run, and even update the course and add activities herself. And that by far is my favorite part of the project. And to me, that makes it all worth it. And, to close, I'm going to, quickly tell you what's next. Where is it now? The course started in 2017. The development started in 2017. This came to my doorstep in 2018, and it was delivered the first time in 2019. So it's been running for a year and a half now. I'm happy to say that it's now available in Open Universities Australia, meaning it can be taken by anyone around the world as an online course, 100% online, 18 weeks in duration. It's amazing how it was also able to translate to 100% online, even if it was intended to be a blended course. Hence, it was able to survive the COVID-19 disruption due to the multimedia, videos, audio, the design work, and the layout considerations we had. It has also been chosen to be created into a new second-year unit as part of a postdoc research project. So we're very happy about that and excited to see what it may look like. And lastly, due to the pilot of H5 and many other projects around that time, it has been taken up by the university and has a wide presence with hundreds of activities across many units and faculties around Macquarie, due to the, in part, of the learnings that we had in this project. So in closing, I'm very thankful to Mark, very thankful to Jo for taking me on this amazing journey. And so that's a bit. Now back to Mark for some parting words.
In closing, I would like to say farewell in language. Didjurigor, thank you. Yanama, Bujuri, Gumada, walking with good spirit.